if you want to be the CEO, be the CEO, but find out how to be a true CEO, because a true CEO is not actually working in the business very much. The true CEO, you've at that point got direct reports that do all of the things that are not leading.
I want to answer the broader question of, like, now that we talked about how scale doesn't happen, I think we should speak to how does scale happen. And so let's flip the script. Let's talk about the things that need to be in place in your business if you want scale to occur. And if you don't just want scale, but if you want to be exit able, if you want to be able to exit your business one day, whether that means exiting the day-to-day or selling out completely, we want all of the above for you. And to talk about this, how you scale, how you exit, I would like to invite to the stage my friend, my business partner, the person who's taught me more about scale than anybody else in my life. You know him, you love him. His name is Roland Frasier. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey.
So Roland and I, just quick backstory on Roland. If you, by the way, how many of you know who Roland is? Can I get a whoop? Oh, look at that. Yeah. There was a time when Roland was kind of my dirty little secret. Roland,
I get that a lot.
Yeah. Roland and I met because he came to an event like this. We had a mastermind. Roland joined the mastermind that we had, and he was an attendee. He was sitting in the mastermind, and every meeting he would show up. And the basic structure of a mastermind is like, what do you need help with? We'll try to help you. What's something that you can give to the group? That's the basic structure. You ask for help for the things you want help with. You give in the areas where you figured some stuff out. And every day he'd show up for the mastermind. He's like, I'm good. But he did two things. Number one, he took notes for everybody and distributed the notes. And number two, he gave more than everybody else. We actually had this contest. Who gave the most? Who had the best ideas? And he won it meeting after meeting after meeting to the point where it's like, okay, you can't do this anymore, right? It's not fair. But I remember going to like, so who are you? Like, what do you do? And I got to learn more about Roland. And I think very much like a startup entrepreneur, like a founder, like an operator. Roland has all that. He also thinks like an investor. And when we get into talking about on day 3, how do you make the mental shift from entrepreneurial operator to entrepreneurial investor? That's what Roland has taught me, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But what I want to go into now is what I think is the coolest thing that you've ever shared with me, and that was this concept of kind of the 5 exits of the entrepreneur. And so again, goal here is to lay a foundation on which you can hang all of the other pieces on. So can you talk through the 5 exits and how these work?
Yeah, so raise your hand if you are currently doing anything in the business other than just managing. So are you working in your business at all, doing any of the jobs? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so a lot of you, right? And I'm wondering if you guys have this. This is kind of how I started, was the first business that I started, I was very proud of that. I was like, nobody's going to outwork me. I'm going to be there before anybody else. There wasn't anybody else at first, so it was easy. I could show up at any time. Then I'm going to be there, and also I'm going to get everything done by the weekend. I'm going to get everything done by the weekend, and that kind of started out that way, and then business started to grow, and I found myself working longer and longer and harder to get the things done so that I could have my weekend. And eventually, I got to the point where I couldn't get done. And I had 3 business partners, and I would tell them, I said, I believe in I know it's a myth, but I believe the myth of unlimited capacity. I can do whatever needs to be done, and I can't find anybody that's going to do it as well as I can, which is the most arrogant thing you could possibly say, right? I can't find anybody that could possibly do it as well as I can. I'm indispensable to the company, and I am forever chained then to the line, and I didn't get it for the longest time. But if you are working in your business, in it, meaning you're doing those things, and a lot of people raise their hands, that's fine if you are on the journey towards escaping from that. If you're not, then you have ever longer hours that you're going to have to work, ever harder to grow because you don't have the capacity to grow. And on our sheets, it was kind of interesting when you guys signed up or signed in to come here, we asked you some questions. And the number one thing that you said that you wanted was more leads and customers. And I want to challenge it a little bit. The second thing that you said was you wanted processes and systems, but that was about half as many responses as said they wanted more leads and customers. And then after that, it was people. I think that maybe a little bit of a mind shift for you as we talk about this. You won't be able to make this first exit from the line. We call people who are doing the actual servicing or producting or whatever in the business. If you're wearing a hat that is causing you to interface directly with a customer in any way, then you are occupying the line. And that is going to be something that if you want to grow and scale, which hopefully everybody is, you're at the right show, right? There's a Blue Cross convention here too. So, okay. So if that's what you want to do, you're going to have to get off the line. And the only way to do that is to go, like, you are a worker when you're on the line. You have to, at that first escape, that first exit, is to move from being a worker to being a manager, from doing to delegating, from working in the business to kind of having one foot in working on the business and one foot in working in the business. And it's okay to do that. To do that, you're going to have to figure out what are the essential roles that you're occupying now, and what would somebody look like that could do those essential roles. And you might start with the least productive things. Like if you're really good at sales, if that's what you're selling for your business, which is very common with entrepreneurs. If you're the person that's in charge of sales, but you're also doing the books, then get somebody to do the books. Because sales brings in the money, right? Find those things first. Like think about how can I exit the line in the most elegant way that's not going to adversely impact my cash flow.
Yeah, in the next session, I'm actually going to show you a specific process for doing just that. If you think about when he talks about being on the line, when we talked about mapping the value engines, those value chains, that's the line. If you're responsible for any of those boxes, you're still on at least some of the line.
So and here's the cool thing. Something kind of magical happens when you do that first thing. And several of you said that you're in the 1 million to 4 million business range, and several of you said that was actually the bulk of you. But I'll tell you what, I go into businesses all the time where they're doing 40, 50, 60, 70 million dollars plus, and the founders are still working on the line. They're still in that critical job. So you can have a big business and still be stuck on the line and ultimately not scale. Because if you've built the business to 40 or 50 million, the path to 100 is super fast with the right people on the bus. But if you are on the bus driving, sitting, riding, repairing, doing everything to it, you're just not going to be able to make that happen as fast. You might still be able to make it go. But one of the benefits of being here is we're going to show you how to kind of skip a few steps. So think about like process-wise, because it's easy for us to say, you need to get off the line. And you're like, screw you. I can't. I don't have time. I won't have enough money. I don't have enough money to hire the person. At some point, you'll have to invest in you and your business to get the other person or people that are going to replace the least productive things that you do. So that, let's say you're selling, let's say that you're marketing, let's say that you're closing, right? So that you can do more of that, because when you can do more of that because you hired that person, even if they kind of suck at it, as they probably will initially, because you're not going to, as Ryan said earlier, you're not going to have time to train them. Please don't make it be random intern person, right? Yeah. Get a quasi-qualified person. But man, I'm telling you, where your business suffers on that non-essential thing, you're going to have more time to focus on that thing that is essential, that's feeding the lifeblood of the business, and you're going to be able to do a whole lot better. I hope that, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask for some response. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Because it's important. So you got to get off the line. You've got to lose that I'm essential to the business kind of thing. Even if you are right now, you can't keep that. That is a mindset that will stop you from ever growing. Okay? So now, then we move from that, and now we're a manager. Okay? We've gone from a worker to manager. Now you've got some people that are doing that, but you're still, like I said, you got one foot in working in the business and one foot working on the business. You're headed in the right direction, right? So then the next thing that we're going to do is go from manager to leader, and that's a really interesting step because you're going to move from delegating to leading other delegators. And that's a very, very difficult step. And I don't know, do we have a session on doing that?
Well, yeah, Richard's going to be talking about how do you bring on an operator
Perfect.
to kind of be that number two. And yeah, the first step is to be that person. So we'll talk about exactly what that means. So yeah, day 3 for sure.
Yep.